Welcome to Essential Ingredients, powered by Next Gen Purpose. EI serves up thoughtful conversations with industry leaders and pioneers who support a regenerative future for our food system. The stories shared by our guests are meant to spark curiosity and inspire informed global change. Good afternoon and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm Justine Reichman, your host, and today with me is Brooke Harris, who I've been so excited to have on the show. Brooke Harris is the founder of Good Mylk. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you, Justine. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for rescheduling too, by the way.
Absolutely. I completely understand.
So Brooke is the founder of Good Mylk, which makes a variety of great milks with, like, I can't believe it, like 3 ingredients in most of them, right?
Yeah. Real food ingredients only.
Oh my God. So tell everybody, because I was so amazed when I got my package, that these packages are made with real food ingredients and you can read all of them. You can understand what they all are. And so when you go to drink this, you know exactly what you're having, and it's great. So tell everybody, for those listening or watching, what exactly is Good Mylk?
Yeah, so we make alt dairy products. Currently, milk that falls in with milk and creamer, and we make our products with using real food only. So 4 or less real food ingredients. Everything is really as if you made it homemade yourself, but you don't have to go through the headache. So we have 2 formats. We have a frozen concentrate. Literally, you thaw it, add water, give it a stir, and you have fresh homemade milk. And then we have our powdered creamers that are really good. You can scoop them into your coffee or your matcha, blend them in. Some of them have fun adaptogens and mushrooms in them, so they have this added boost. But really, the whole idea around everything we do is, really nutrient dense, good for you dairy products. Plant-based dairy products.
Which I love, and I say this selfishly because I don't do dairy, mostly because it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Not because I have something against it, but it's because I get very congested and nasally, which is not uncommon.
Yeah.
I think it affects a lot of people. So, and since I recently found out that I can't do almonds and I can't do oats, which I've been doing for so long, and then I thought I'd try hemp. And then when we were talking, you're like, you got to try my hemp because you might be able to do hemp. And you were right. Your hemp made a difference because I did not react the same way.
Yeah, and I think even with the almond and oat, it's worth checking out because there's a massive difference beyond just real food ingredients in our products. There's a massive difference in what we're doing and what's out there as far as quality. And the biggest motivator for us, we are not anti-dairy. You don't even really hear us talk about dairy much in any of our marketing or on our social media. We are anti other plant-based milks on the market that are masquerading as healthy and good for you, and they're really not. And they're really not only are they not healthy, but they have ingredients that are actually damaging people's health. And that's how I got into this. Is I was plant-based, thought I was doing something good for myself, and a few years in got really sick. And it took a few years from that for me to find out that it was these plant-based foods I was consuming, thinking they were healthy, that were making me sick. And plant-based milk at the time, almond was my favorite and actually still is. But it was my almond milk that was making me sick. And when I flipped over the carton and read the ingredients, I was blown away by the fact that there was a bunch of ingredients. I had no idea what they were. They definitely weren't food. And then in the nutrition panel, when you're plant-based, you are trained to know that nuts and seeds have all kinds of protein. And, if you flip over a box of almond milk, there's 1 gram of protein per serving. And so what that means is there's actually like 2 to 3 almonds in a cup of boxed almond milk that you buy from the store.
Not very much.
No,
If you're making a cup of almond milk, how many almonds actually go into that real cup of almond milk?
Yeah, so we in our almond milk, there's like between 26 and 30 almonds per cup. So there's 6 grams of protein in a cup of good milk. And you feel the difference when you consume it, but you taste the difference. It tastes like fresh, real food, especially when you do a side by side, and then you start to realize, wow, the other stuff at the store is just this like chemical, this creamy looking like chemical mix. It's not real food at all.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. And this is a product that is not, being plant-based, it's not something you have once in a while. Like if you're drinking plant-based milk, you're probably having it every day first thing in the morning in your coffee or your smoothie, or you're pouring it on your kids' cereal or giving it to them in their bottles even. And it's not a product that's like an ice cream or a cookie that you have once in a while where you can be like, ah, it's not a big deal. There's a few weird ingredients. Like, you cannot afford to have plant-based milk that's making you sick.
No, and understanding what's in these milks, I think is key, because I think a lot of people drink these milks and they think that they're being healthy and they're taking it for granted. And the premise for me for these conversations that we have is about giving people the platform to share their stories so that people can make more informed choices. So this is amazing, because I think that a lot of people are taking stuff off the shelves and they're assuming that it's made of almonds, and they're assuming it's made of oats, and they're assuming that because, you know, it says oat milk or almond milk, that it is what it says it is.
Right.
But I think the story here is that we really need to understand what the ingredients are so that we can make a more informed choice.
There's a lot of layers to food, but definitely in this category. And so it starts with the ingredients, absolutely, but there's a lot of hidden practices in the processing of plant-based milks too. So a lot of these plant-based milks, let's take oat milk for example, you know, name the brand. It can be really any brand that pops in your head.
Totally.
And it's
Ciabatta,
yeah,
or, you know, there's
yeah,
so many of
it's
them.
the same story with all of them. They're these, you know, they're oats, yes, and at the core, oats are good for you, but these oat milks are processed in a way that turns them into maltose sugar, which is incredibly bad for the body and spikes your blood sugar. They're not organic, so they're full of glyphosates and other pesticide ingredients. And then when the additional processing of adding canola oil, the heat processing that happens to make them shelf stable, the adding of the dipotassium phosphate and other preservatives turns them into these like ultra high processed foods, which, you know, we throw like candy bars and Coca-Cola in that category, but really these oat milks on the market fall right in line with those things.
Wow. So before this, you got into this because you had a health issue and you were eating this, and you then started making your own. But to build a company around this, you know, that's not just a health issue. I mean, so what inspired you to say, okay, I'm taking this into my own hands and now I want to build my business. I want to build a business around this
Yeah, you know, I wish that I could say there was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to build a business. Here's my 5-year plan. Like, this is where this is going to go. It was more of really just putting like one foot in front of the other. I had my own issue, so started making homemade plant-based milks and realized, oh, holy shit, these are delicious. But it's a pain in the butt to make. You know, I don't know if you've ever tried, but you have to like soak and sprout the seeds and nuts overnight, and then you blend it and then put it through the cheesecloth, and it's messy, and you get a very small amount that's then gone in 30 minutes and you have to start all over. And so I knew that the process of making homemade plant-based milks was not accessible for most people, just from, you know, having a time. And so I started really small at the farmer's market and just started putting these, you know, making them homemade and fresh myself in a commercial kitchen, and started putting them out there to see what people thought. And they took off. And at that time I was serving a product that was fresh and had a 5-day shelf life. So not scalable as far as a, you know, larger business. But the response was so great, and I really saw that there was a need for it. And that is what motivated me to figure out, how do we scale this and how do we scale it without compromising? And that's where we came up with the formats that I mentioned before, and that you've tried, the frozen concentrate and the powders, so that we didn't have to add those weird ingredients, and the end product could be as nutritious and tasty as if you made it yourself at home.
So, because it's amazing what you've done and how you've scaled it and how you're now growing exponentially in a variety of ways. So what were you doing before this?
Yeah, I actually, you know, I went to film school. So I came out to LA to work in film and TV, and through a little bit of that career path is kind of what helped trigger the illness issues, right? Like, you're constantly on the go, you're working very early and working very late, and just eating these, like, I was plant-based, but I was eating a lot of like these grab and go foods and on the go. And so that kind of propelled the digestive irritation. And wellness was always my other passion, and food really. But I didn't know how you make a career out of that. And so just kind of stumbled into, lucky being in LA, that it's a very accessible place to start a business, and that you have options. You have, I started at the farmer's market. So it's a very small commitment to be able to, I didn't need investors. I didn't need a ton of funding behind me. I just had to make enough for one single day and get myself to the farmer's market and see what happened.
But it's interesting, you coupled your passion and decided to try something in an area where it really is accessible, right? Because farmers markets are an accessible place, and LA is the perfect place to do something like this because people are looking for alternatives. They're looking for good products. People are knowledgeable, and they're really interested in their personal well-being and the new best innovative product. So you couldn't have picked a better spot, right? I mean,
yeah.
So, but this was your first shot at entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And
is that true?
Oh yeah. So certainly, there's that envy that you have of like second time founders, right? And just all they know. And I constantly joke and say like, man, I was an idiot last week, because every week you learn so much. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I, thought that last week or didn't know this. And so there's, certainly some quick learning, but I think the biggest advantage that I've always had is just my willingness to say yes. And, again, being in LA, in a place where their opportunity is accessible, if you're willing to say yes and you're willing to seek it out. And those have been two things that I've always been on board with. And, I started my business. I didn't know anyone. Like I said, I didn't have any investor funding. I didn't have like a big foot in the door anywhere. I didn't even know what I was doing manufacturing wise. Like we've made up the process ourselves the whole way. And it's just been a matter of like being curious and saying yes to opportunities that came my way, and then seeking out the opportunities that we wanted.
What was your big first win?
Yeah, I would say probably starting to work with Blue Bottle Coffee. And I didn't know that it was I didn't know it was a huge win.
You didn't know it was huge. That's pretty huge.
Because I didn't drink coffee. I didn't know who Blue Bottle was. They just wanted a barista blend for their cafes. And I was like, sure, what does that mean? And
you know that Equator's big too, right?
Yes, yeah, I know a little more about coffee now. And so they told me what they wanted, and I created a barista blend for them. And at the time they had one cafe that we were servicing, and it was a good amount. It was like, something like 40 gallons a week that they were going through. And then all of a sudden they opened another one and another one. And, now we service like 30 of their cafes in Southern California. And it was their team that really helped me understand how special this product was in coffee. And what a difference it was, and made me realize, oh, there's something here that we should like continue to look at.
I think it's interesting because I think that's really an interesting story that you shared, because I look at Oatly and I look how Oatly also expanded. And if you look, they went the barista route too. One of the things I look at and how I became so knowledgeable about them was that I tried oat milk at Equator Coffee, and it was available at all the coffee shops. And they had the barista blend. Yeah. So when all these alternative or plant milks are now being offered in the coffee shops, people are becoming more and more familiar with them. So it was a really smart way for consumers to get awareness around them, for the coffee houses to be able to offer it, and for the alt plant companies to now offer their products and to get awareness for people.
Yes. And the thing is, though, there's still very little alternative milk companies that can really enter through that channel, which is a great thing for us. And the reason Oatly saw success and the reason we are seeing success is because our products actually work and perform well with coffee. And so our products kind of started that way by default, just because of the quality and the standard that we had and the amount of real food ingredients. And so our almond milk, the nutrition wise, has a similar nutrition profile to whole milk. which means it has fat and protein. And that's what works really well in coffee and steams and texturizes really well for coffee. So moving forward, we've formulated all of our milks to work really well for coffee. And we're able to do that just using real food ingredients.
You do that with the hemp milk.
Yeah. So hemp naturally has, hemp naturally has like a great balance of protein and healthy fat. And if you use enough of the hemp seeds, like it will automatically steam and texturize well because of that. And hemp has I'm so glad the hemp works for you because it has all kinds of other nutritional benefits. It's incredibly sustainable. I really think it's the milk of the future. It has everything that people love about alternative milks. You can't go wrong with hemp milk.
Yes, no, I like it. I just, here in the Bay Area, in Marin in particular, I can't find a coffee shop aside from Starbucks, which I don't go to, that offers hemp milk. That, like, if I go to Equator, they don't offer yours there.
We're working on it.
Okay.
But feel free to request it wherever you go and then hit me up. We will be launching in the Bay Area in a bigger way very soon. But
hemp milk in particular.
Yeah, the really thing that's cool about the Bay Area is it's a foodie town, foodie neighborhoods. And so we're taking the hemp milk into meetings and the owners and decision makers are tasting it and falling in love with it, but they're a little bit afraid because they've never heard a customer ask for hemp milk, so we've got to get the customer. It's, this right combination of getting the customers on board and giving them confidence to get it on the menu.
Do you have small sizes that you bring out?
We have like sample sizes that are
Get them on over. I'll start bringing them around myself.
Yes, I love it.
You have a t-shirt that says good milk I could wear?
Milk, yeah. We have t-shirts that say hemp is lit.
Okay,
so like that would be
with little sample size. I'll bring it all around to all the coffee shops and I'll say, hey, can you make me coffee with this?
Yes, love it. Okay, done.
I'll be your little ambassador. Perfect. And then on the back, you can put my little, I have a little, what do you call it, slogan? Eating right is a human right.
Yes.
Powered by Next Gen Purpose.
Done. Perfect.
Okay, we'll partner on that. How's that?
Okay, great.
I think it works well together, actually.
I mean, the missions couldn't be more aligned.
Couldn't be more aligned. I'll walk around, go to Mill Valley, Corte Madera, we'll go to Phil's Coffee, we'll go to Equator, you name it.
Perfect.
I think it'll be perfect. So this is your first time out entrepreneur. You're in so many places. You're changing the way people are now thinking about their plant-based milk because now they know that they don't need all that filler. It's the same thing that we're talking about when we talk about the plant-based meats and these Impossible burgers. I mean, I don't want to go off topic here, but it's the same way that we're learning when we talk about planet-based meat or planet-based foods. Yeah. How they're putting less things in their burgers and their stuff too. So I think it's so important what you're doing and how you're educating people on it by saying that it's 4 ingredients or less.
I really think there is this next wave, and I see other up and coming brands that are forging the way in their own category, but there is this next wave of food happening, and definitely in the plant-based space of, just plant-based isn't good enough. It really needs to live up to those standards that plant-based consumers are looking for. So it needs to be healthy. It needs to be real food ingredients. It needs to be organic. It needs to, perform and taste good, and have the sustainability piece to it. It needs to kind of hit every pillar, and it just takes innovation and a little extra work. Really nature has provided everything that we need in order to do that. And we've gone and messed it up over the decades and added chemicals and weird processing to make these foods last forever. Where when you look at what we're doing, we're literally using nature's oldest preservation method.
We got to go back to basics.
It's not rocket science. We're using freezing instead of using a bunch of chemicals. And there are some other really cool brands doing the same in their categories. And I think that consumer demand is quickly shifting. With what's gone on the past 2.5 years, people are really starting to realize that what you eat has a huge impact on how you feel, your ability to fight illness, your ability to, think clearly. And people are starting to understand how to read food labels, and have a better relationship with what they put in their mouths.
And really demand a better food system. I think The more we educate, the more people learn, the more they ask, the more they demand a better food system. And that's really important.
It's the solution to so many things, like maybe every problem that's out there. Yeah,
Health,
yeah,
I mean, and we could go on.
yeah,
And I just think it's so important.
yeah. And it's unfortunately, it's the most important thing we do every day, and we're so far removed from it. It's very scary.
So I'm curious because one of the things that really differentiates your product is the amount of things that you put in it, which is 4, and the fact that you've chosen to offer it frozen. One of the options is frozen. But along with that, I would imagine one of the challenges is your packaging, because it must be difficult to come up with packaging that is efficient and sustainable and is not overwhelming. So I'm asking that because over the last few years, with COVID, packaging has been a sore subject for a lot of people. We see packaging come here every day because of all the deliveries. And I'm just curious how you address that and what you've done about that. And, what kind of solutions you offer.
Yeah, it's packaging is definitely an important part of our decision-making process when putting out a product. And we spend a lot of time doing research and trying to find the right packaging. Everything that we do, we make sure we're using the most sustainable packaging on the market. So we start there. A lot of our products cut down on a lot of packaging waste. We're doing concentrates and powders that use a lot less. We're not shipping water. And even when we do ship frozen, we pay double the price to use cooler boxes that are where everything's completely compostable. So it's definitely top of mind in every decision that we make. And I think it has to be like
Compostable boxes are good.
Yeah, and compostable liners, and we use dry ice, so that just kind of dissipates. But we really try and do our best and like think through the options at every single level. And we're not perfect, and the market isn't perfect yet. There's still not the perfect solution, especially when you're talking about liquid and frozen products. But we're getting there. We're testing some really cool innovation that we're just waiting to get samples back on for a dissolvable and edible film that could wrap around our powder and
Cool.
allow us to package it in bulk and literally have only one little piece of plastic that holds all of these pods that would then be dissolvable. So we're constantly digging and searching for innovative and sustainable options. And we have a really great investment partner who is an impact fund, and they're super committed to sustainability. And so we lean on them to kind of know what's cutting edge out in the market and check in with them before we make packaging decisions also.
That's great, because I know that that's one of the challenges when we see all these things and we're ordering things. And I think the other challenge is also communicating that to the customer so that they know when they're buying things, what they're getting and how to dispose of or recycle or compost the packaging.
Yeah. Once you own a business, you realize how far most customers are from understanding how their products get to them,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of communication that has to happen. And we like to over communicate with our community anyway. We want to be a trusted resource, and we want to share knowledge and information. And it's allowed for us to have a very engaged and active community, but education and sharing information is definitely a very important pillar for us.
So we know that you have a few products out there. Or is there anything else that we're going to see coming down the pipeline?
Oh, my R&D list is long. My team has to keep me in the closet sometimes on working on new products, but we do have some big things coming in the B2B channel with our powdered products right now.
You want to share?
Right now you can only find them online, sold direct to you, but we're launching what we hope will be a really great logistic and sustainable solution, and completely change the amount of packaging waste being used in these cafes. So hopefully coming in July, we're like in that intense phase right now of like gathering all the packaging and working out the logistics and doing the manufacturing. So definitely some exciting stuff coming in a few months.
Awesome. So if we have viewers or people listening to the podcast that wanted to get product, where would they be able to find it?
Yeah, well, if you're in Southern California, it's very easy. A lot of coffee shops use it, and it's the default. You go in and order an almond milk latte, and it's made with good milk, and you will know because it tastes so different. We're launching very soon in San Francisco with some really great partners in the Bay Area. But the easiest and most direct way is you can go to our website. There's also a tracker on the website that tells you what cafes we're in. But you can go to the website and deliver any of our products to order them delivered straight to your door. So the powders and the frozen, and that's anywhere in the US.
Wonderful. Brooke, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It was great to catch up, great to learn all about your story and what you have in the works. Thank you for sending me product to try. I loved it. I can't wait to try the adaptogen ones. I have to see if I can get myself some of that.
Yeah,
that looks good. It's what you're doing is great. I love the fact that you're so transparent about what's in the product and how you're building everything. I just think it's super refreshing. And I can't wait to see it in Equator. And really, we do need a t-shirt. I'm going to go shop around with the little samples. I will be that girl. Good milk, because eating right is a human right. I'm telling you. Our slogans work together.
I'm so in. My sales
We're gonna make that t-shirt together.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for having me and for allowing me to share a little bit about our mission.
So, well, thank you, Brooke. And I want to thank our guests for tuning in, whether they're on YouTube. And if you are, and you like what you see, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast and you like what you hear, subscribe and tune in every week. We will be here again soon. Thanks again, Brooke.
Thank you, Justine.
To learn more about these episodes and access show notes, go to nextgenpurpose.com and choose podcast. If you like this episode, head to Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform to subscribe and leave us a review. Visit the Next Gen Purpose YouTube channel to subscribe to our EI videocast and give this episode a like while you're there. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Next Gen Purpose and connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Justine_Reichman. Thanks for joining us.